I've been playing a small game called Hyperdemon. And
Demon.
this game. So in 2016, if you cast your mind back there, there
Go back in time.
was a great shooter that year. It's called Doom, right? It's very good. It's
Amazing.
Really good to have Doom back. But at the same time, there was also another one that came out just before it called Devil Daggers, which was a very basic, down to its roots sort of shooter where you were just in an arena on like a big square arena that you could actually fall off of. Yeah. And you had like this little like hand that was like your gun. And the entire objective was to just survive. Yeah. Like you had all sorts of new enemies pop up over the course of a run. If you get hit once, you die. And the purpose of it was to last as long as you can. And the first few runs you last maybe 10 seconds. And over the course of a few hours, you maybe get that up to like 30. It's brutal. Like it's really, really hard. And it forces you to understand enemy patterns and spacing extremely well. And use your attacks like extremely well. So Hyperdemon is from same developer. Yep. And for all intents and purposes, it's kind of a continuation of that idea. Okay. So you're still in an arena. You still have this one hand that does a variety of attacks now. Like you can hold down for like a barrage of bullets, or you can tap shoot for like a shotgun blast, or you can suck up these like crystals after you kill an enemy to do like a long range laser railgun blast, stuff like that. But instead of just being about survival, when you start each round, you have a timer on the top that starts at 10. And as soon as the round starts, that timer starts counting down. Mm-hmm. And as you kill enemies, you'll add to that timer. It's usually about 3 seconds per enemy killed. Okay. So the game doesn't end when the timer gets to 0. It just goes into negative and keeps counting down. It actually only ends if you get to like negative 60, I think. But your high score is based off of how high your timer is when you die. So you can have runs where you've only been alive for 5 seconds, but your score is actually higher than one where you've lasted 30 because you were playing so passively on the one where you lasted longer that your score actually wasn't going up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's this weird ballet of being super, super aggressive, like getting up in enemies' faces, trying to take them down very quickly. Also identifying patterns like, okay, as soon as I kill this guy, I'm going to be close to this enemy. He's weak to this sort of approach. I've got to do that. Then I've got to hop to this one. So you're finding routes through this like very small play area as enemies continually move around. So you're constantly like adjusting on the fly. And it is just unbelievably fun. Like it is so adrenaline inducing because you're constantly like flying off the like you're at the edge of your seat constantly because as soon as you kill an enemy, you're quickly going, okay, who's close? That one's close. Yeah. Okay, how do I kill him? Okay, oh my God, there's actually someone behind me trying to kill me. I've got to deal with him. Like, and because you can't stop. If you just stop, if you are like running for 2 to 3 seconds between enemies, you've already lost like the rhythm of it. You need to be
just quit now.
Yeah, you need to be chaining together. Like you've got air dashes, you've got an infinite number of bunny hops. So if you hop and you press jump just before you hit the ground, you'll bunny hop again. And if you can maintain that rhythm, you just move. Yeah. So like some of the highest level plays that I've seen are people just like they're continually jumping. They just don't stop.
My goodness.
You've got like a rocket jump. So if you aim at the floor, you can rocket jump into the air, and then you can press spacebar to do like a stomp, which it stuns some enemies. It can also do damage to other enemies. But at the same time, if you stomp on the head of an enemy who's like not stunned by that, they'll just kill you. So some enemies have this like crystal inside them that if you hit them with a railgun blast, they instantly die. But at the same time, then they don't drop that crystal, so you don't get another charge for your railgun. So you've got to you've got all these micro decisions to make in split seconds.
Yeah.
As you continue a run, and runs start out the same, so you can sort of predict, which enemies are going to appear when. But like the further and further you get into a run, it becomes so chaotic because the speed at which new enemies get introduced is dependent on how quickly you kill them. So depending on who you kill and in what order, new enemies can spawn in completely different orders.
Okay.
It's so good. It's really, really good. And I think what makes this, in a way, more approachable than Devil Daggers, because it is way more mechanically complex, is the fact that it's got a very robust like training mode. So the training mode is all these like little scenarios that teach you all the mechanics, teach you all the attacks and all the patterns for the 4 enemies in the game, which is really good, because then in a run, you're more focused on executing than being like, I don't understand how this enemy works type of thing, you know? At the same time, everyone on the leaderboard has a replay attached to their score. So you can click that and it immediately downloads. You just watch it. So like I can watch the number 1 player in the world's replay, and it looks like a completely fucking different game to me because of how he's moving. Like this is probably one of them. I mean, this score here is at, if you're watching the video feed, is at 150. My highest score is 40.
It should just get good, man.
I think the highest score in the world right now is 300 and something, because there is an actual end to the game. Like once you've killed all the enemies, there is an end. So then it starts becoming like, how fast can you get there?
Yeah.
You know? So, I mean, this already, I'm looking at this footage and the movement here, like loads of rocket jumps, loads of like intricate maneuvers. Yeah, I can't do this. And if you're watching the footage, you can see the visual style really complements the sort of chaos, because it's got this like really glowing polygonal style to it, where that already is kind of like weird and off-putting. But then whenever you get stuff like power-ups, time slows down, but also the sort of like aperture of the lens completely warps. So like enemy portraits just like bend across the entire screen, and you kind of like lose track of where they are. You can see there's also these like flashing red silhouettes of enemies. That's when they're behind you, so it warns you that they're behind you. When enemy eyes flash, that means if you press spacebar and dodge, you'll do like a very in-time witch time dodge. You can see the play here actually got to the end. Yeah, it got to the end. There's just a lot happening, and for the first hour, I think it is a bit overwhelming. But it's sort of, I liken the visual style to like a sort of language that you need to learn. Yeah. And once you start picking up visual cues and audio cues, it's just like, oh, you're getting all the information you need constantly. It's really, really good. It's a great game. I think it's phenomenal. It's really cheap on Steam. And it is just one of those very pure shooters that I think nails the fundamentals of a shooter and lets you have fun with that.
Yeah, I recognize. So I know you've been talking about Hyper Demon all week, because you've been enjoying it. But I haven't looked up any footage or anything. I just kept at the back of my mind, oh, Hyper Demon. But looking at the footage now, I'm like, oh, I recognize this game. I remember seeing either, I don't know, early gameplay or something and thinking, this looks crazy.
It was a surprise release as well. It just like dropped this week. Everyone's like, oh, okay, cool. It's good. I think I told you yesterday, but like this is a game that you 100% would vibe
probably
with. Like almost certain you'd vibe with, and it would be that bug that bites you. You're like, oh god, I need to get better. I need to get better. Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah, it's good. I've enjoyed watching people stream it. I've enjoyed watching a lot of replays trying to break down how I can get better. And I got into bed earlier this week after playing about 3 hours of it nonstop. And I was in bed and Shani was like, why are you breathing so hard? I was like, man, my heart was just pounding. It was just so when you realize you're on a good run and you look at the time and you're like, oh my God, my time is at the high score. So it's like, what do? Do I like yeet myself into an enemy to save that high score? Or do I keep going and potentially like lose the rhythm and don't get a high score? It's like, so I just keep going. And then it's like, oh my God, I've missed it by a second because I was slow getting to this one enemy. Like,
my goodness.
So good. It's so good. Really enjoy it.
Looks like a good time.
We've had a cracking year for like
Indie
speed run focused shooters. Yeah, like Neon White.
That's another game I still need to get to. My goodness.
Another game I think you would absolutely
just
adore.
Snort.
So, yeah. So Hyper Demon, real good. I actually don't know how much it is. I'll check on Steam just now because I did get it for review. So I think it's about $150 if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, that's not expensive.
Very, very cheap. So sort of same as Neon White was like stupidly cheap.
It is 100 rand.
Oh yeah, fucking
Steam.
Just play that. Like it is worth so much more than that. Like the amount of time and enjoyment I've got out of it. Yeah, what a game.
No, you said you played 3 hours the one evening.
Yeah, just one evening, just gone, and it like just oh my god.
Hold on, just adding some balloons here to this.
It just disappeared. The time it was real good.